Well, hello there, my sweet YouTube friends. I am about to show you 5 delicious meals that we have had over the course of the last week or so. I hope you enjoy everything that you see. We are trying our best to eat from the things that we have at home in our fridge, our freezer, and our pantry. We're trying to stay in as much as we can. Hope everyone that's watching is doing well and staying safe. We're trying to keep things as normal as we can around here, and one way we can do that is by getting in the kitchen and cooking up some yummy food for our families. I'm enjoying doing that as always. I hope you enjoy watching this. I'm going to jump on into it now. Thank you always for watching, and let's just see what yummy food we had this week, and I hope you find some inspiration. And would you just take a look at these little cuties? Oh my goodness. I don't know the exact technical name for these. Chicken and cheese stuffed crescent rolls or chicken and cheese stuffed pillow pockets. I don't know. But I can tell you one thing, they are delicious. So if you want to see how to make this delicious dinner, stay tuned. I'm going to jump right into it. Alright, so I am going to spray my baking dish here with some cooking spray, and then my chicken has cooked all day in the crock pot. This is boneless, skinless chicken breast. I've just pulled that out so it can cool. I'm just using my fork to shred that up. I haven't made this recipe in years and years, and I got it from a blog that I used to follow a long time ago. I could not find the original recipe that I followed, but there are a bunch of these on the internet. And they're all called something different, but it's generally the same idea on each recipe. And so my all-time favorite seasonings, of course, salt, pepper, garlic salt. Just kind of sprinkle that over the chicken just to give it some additional flavor. Gonna get that thoroughly mixed in, and then I'm going to get out my crescent rolls and start to work on those. Alright, so you unroll your crescent rolls, and instead of using the triangles, you want to make a little sort of rectangle, a little square out of it. So you can roll it as thin as you want to. You can be as precise as you want to. I wanted to get mine done pretty quick, which is my usual. So I'm basically just pinching the seam there. I didn't really even take it apart. Pinch the seam, kind of makes a little rectangle. That's what you're looking for. And then you're going to put in your chicken and cheese. So I decided to kind of pull mine down to one end. It's probably about 1/4 a cup, but just do it by feel. You can kind of see how much you want in there once you get going. You don't want it so overstuffed that you can't get the crescent roll to seal. So chicken is in. Now I'm going to come in with some cheese. You can use whatever you have. So I'm using the shredded Colby Jack. So you don't put a ton of it. Again, you want this to be able to seal. So cheese is in. Now let's start getting those edges all closed up. So I just kind of pinched mine. I think the last one I used a fork because it just wasn't wanting to stay together, but kind of ends up looking like a little stuffed ravioli. So I went ahead and just pinched that fourth side there so it kind of looks uniform, and that's what you want. I already had this black pan out here getting ready to make mashed potatoes. Since it was out, I was like, okay, I'm using that to make my little gravy mixture. So it calls for a can of cream of chicken and a can of milk. Mix that together. I think I added some garlic powder and some black pepper there at the end. So you just want to get this stirred together real nicely, smoothly, and then that is going to go over the little pockets of the cheese and chicken to form the gravy that goes on top. So stir that together and get it poured on. Alright, once that gravy has covered everything, I'm going to come in with some parsley flakes just to give it a pop of color, and then I'm going to add just a little bit of cheese on top of each little crescent chicken pocket. All right, I am sitting out on my front porch editing today, so if you hear some background noise, that's because I'm outside. It's a gorgeous day. All right, those are going in the oven, and I'm moving on to my asparagus. You guys, I decided to do asparagus in the air fryer, and I'm pretty positive I will never do it another way. It was so good, I could not stop eating it. I couldn't even move on to try the chicken because I couldn't stop eating the asparagus. So I am using my normal seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic powder. I did drizzle it with some olive oil, and I just kind of tossed it to coat and put that in my air fryer. I can't remember how long I did it. It wasn't very long, maybe 7 minutes or so, but again, I will have that down in the description box below, along with the recipe for the chicken crescent roll pockets. I think I call that a different thing every time I say it, but anyhow, always check the description box for recipes. And now the delicious chicken crescent roll deal has come out of the oven. It's browned up, it's bubbling, it's perfect. This is so good. It's like a perfect comfort food, kind of like a dumpling in a way. I don't know, it just gives you that chicken and dumplings vibe in a way. Again, the asparagus, could not stop eating that. It was so good. And here it is served up. I made mashed potatoes. And then my husband James does not love asparagus, so I made some peas for him. I've made this before, but it's been way too long, so you can guarantee I'll be making this one again soon. All right, moving on to another night. We're pulling this from the freezer. This I purchased at Meijer. I've bought this one before, probably even showed it on my channel before. And I needed it to be a little bit more room temperature, so I just turned my microwave on empty for 30 seconds, heated it up, and then I put the pizza dough in there. It was completely thawed out. I just needed it to come to room temperature a little bit quicker, so that's a trick for you there. Pulling from my freezer again, this is just some lunch meat, some ham that we did not finish. So I, again, threw that in the freezer. I do that often, and here I'm just kind of breaking it up. It was shaved ham. I'm going to break that up, and that's going to be one of our pizza toppings. We are kind of all dealing with, let's use what we have on hand as best we can. I think we're all in the same boat there. I had some peppers and onions left over from some brats that we had, and then I just diced up some fresh onion, put in some garlic and herb and some garlic powder, and just sauteed those all together. Those will be toppings for my pizza. Pizza crust was so good. It rolled out perfectly, stretched it just a bit and put it on the pan. Sometimes I bake this for just a couple minutes on high heat before I put on toppings, but I did not on this night. So I'm just showing you here some of the toppings I have. And like I said before, we're all kind of just using what we've got right now. I certainly am. And so I just pulled out some things that I had for this pizza. It may not be how I would have fixed it on, say another day, but it was perfect just like it was. So I added a few green olives, which is not something typical that I put on pizza. I threw a few jalapenos on there. It was covered with pepperoni. That's always a bonus. And it was delicious. We love homemade pizza. It's one of our very favorite things, and it's pretty quick and inexpensive. Alright, moving on to another night of dinner. This is boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I have chopped up, and I am going to coat them in a mixture of flour and some seasonings. And then I have some panko breadcrumbs. I'm actually going to do a dip first in egg. So I took an egg and kind of just scrambled that all up in the bowl. And so I'm going to coat in the flour mixture first, then into the egg, and then back into the flour mixture. I've got my panko breadcrumbs all mixed in there with my flour. And as you probably already know, some garlic and some salt and some pepper. So I'm going to just begin coating those all up, and then I'm going to fry those up on the stove to get a little crisp on the outside. I just say these would have been the most delicious little chicken nuggets, just like they were. The breading was crispy thanks to the panko breadcrumbs. It just had a really delicious flavor. The chicken thighs are so flavorful by themselves, and so if you just did nothing more than fry these up like this, they would be a delicious little chicken nugget. But after my chicken is completely fried up and the breading is good and crispy, I like to put just a little bit of water in there to steam the chicken. And if you do decide to do something like that, just don't touch it afterwards. Let it just sit there, and the liquid just steams it. It makes it very, very tender. And then you just kind of want to let it sit so you don't cause the breading to come off. So, so good. I'm going to now make these soba noodles. I'm going to use the microwave directions. So easy, so quick. I like to try different kinds of noodles from time to time. You know, you're always thinking, how can I make sort of like carry out at home? And so that's the idea with trying some of these various kinds of noodles. After this came out of the microwave, I put just a tiny bit of olive oil on there to kind of loosen the noodles up. Now these noodles do not have a flavor, so I'm adding a tiny bit of this teriyaki sauce. I probably won't repurchase this again because it is so salty, but I'm going to finish the bottle that I have. So it just takes a little bit there, and that will provide a little bit of flavor on those noodles. So I continued to mix that up, and those are ready to go. I chopped up some green onion, and I put out the sweet and sour sauce, and then the Boston jerk sauce, it's like a Caribbean jerk. That is what's going to go in our chicken. So you probably saw where I added in some red peppers. Those fried along with my chicken on the skillet. And then I'm just seasoning up a portion of the chicken there with the jerk sauce. So it doesn't take a whole lot. Jerk sauce is pretty mild. It's got a little bit of hint of cinnamon maybe to it. It's kind of an interesting flavor. And then put in some red pepper flakes in there. I just served a little bit of white rice, a little bit of noodles, the chicken and peppers on top with some of the green onions, and this was over the top good. We really enjoyed this meal. Okay, tonight for dinner I am using this soup mix by Harry and David, and it is for chicken chili. So inside this is a little seasoning packet, and then you can see the beans there, the white and the pinto, so the Great Northern and the pinto, and the directions are on the back. So you use chicken with it, of course. So I'm going to get my chicken in the crock pot, and then I'm going to go ahead and get the beans and the seasonings in there. And the other ingredients are very few. I'm going to get that going in the crock pot right now. Alright, and here are my beans, just placed in the bottom of my slow cooker. I'm also going to add my chicken. The recipe on the back of the bag calls for, calls for 1.5 cups of cooked chicken breast chopped. I am using boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and I have 5 of those. So I'm going to add those on in. And I will take these out when they are done and shred them up. I'm leaving some of the fat on there just for flavoring. Some of them have a little more fat than the others. Alright, so there's my 5 chicken thighs on top. This is a stovetop recipe, but I am obviously doing it in the slow cooker. Alright, after I've added in my chicken, I will add in the liquid portion, which it says 7 cups of water and 2.5 cups of chicken broth. And then I'm going to add in the seasonings. So there's a couple packages in here. It also says you can add in a can of chopped chilies if you have it. I do not. I'm going to use what I have on hand to make this work. And I do have some frozen jalapenos. I will chop some up to put in there. So right now I'm going to add in my chicken broth and my water. This is what I'm getting ready to pour in is homemade chicken stock, chicken broth. I like to do that when I have bone-in chicken breast because it's just so flavorful. And then I have just stored this in a jar, mason jar in my refrigerator. And it's going to be perfect in this. Let me just show you real quick. There's my big jar of chicken stock, and I will just not pour in all that's in the bottom. What's on the top will pour out, and then what's in the bottom I will just reserve back and throw that out. Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Now I will add in my water, so I'll probably end up doing about probably 6 cups of water now. Okay, so this is 6 cups of water. Yes, that's about right. Alright, that was seasoning packet number 1. Look at all those wonderful seasonings. And then this next packet is just dry seasoning. And it looks more like the chili blend. The other one, they're both dry seasonings. One of them was just really thick with all sorts of dried veggies. Alright, this one looks like chili powder, cumin. I'm smelling that. It smells delicious. Alright, and then I'm just going to kind of take my fork here, and that is it. The lid will go on the crock pot. A little bit of the sunshine coming in there. Nobody's going to complain about that. Put the lid on the crock pot and let this start chugging away. I'll pull out the chicken and shred it before it's time to serve. And I also think, the recipe doesn't call for this, but I think I'm going to add some cream cheese towards the end. So we'll just see how this goes. Alright, this smells so good. Look at the beans, all the various seasonings in there. And I kind of have stuck a fork in the chicken a couple of times today to see how it was progressing. I did turn it down to low. So I'm going to, you can see there, it's just so tender. I think this is how I'm going to shred it, just like this. I don't even think I'm going to take it out. Look at that. Yes. So I think I'm just going to pick up the chicken in my spoon here and just give it a little twist. And it's just tender enough to just fall apart. I am making some sweet corn muffins to serve along with this. I think I mentioned earlier, the recipe doesn't call for it, but I kind of think I want to do cream cheese in this. I don't know, I'm just going back and forth, but I kind of think I want to do that. So, we shall see here in a minute. I do need to add in some jalapeno. Alright, just looking for any bigger pieces of chicken that I can shred. Wow, this looks so good. It smells really, really good. Okay. I think we got it all. Oh, look at this, guys. Looks so good. And I see a couple pieces of fat here and there like this. I'm just going to take that out. I only see a couple. I can just scoop that out. That's given some great flavor, I am sure. All right, we'll see if I add in the cream cheese or not. Kind of 50-50 right now, we'll see. Well, you guys, I'm doing it. I am doing it. In goes the cream cheese. Also, I took a little bit out and tasted it for seasonings. I added in a bit of chili powder, garlic powder, and salt. That's kind of just to taste. And I'm just going to plop this in here. Maybe kind of cut it up just a little. It's about 30 minutes minimum to when we're going to eat this. So this can just sit in here, and in this heat it will melt and get real creamy. I did it. I took the plunge. I don't know, that just sounded good to me. I do think since I added the cream cheese, I'm going to go ahead and add some jalapeno. And let me tell you about these real quick. I have there we go. I've got a banana pepper and a jalapeno. When we harvest these from our garden, I just kind of wipe them off with a cloth, and I don't submerge them in water or do any extensive cleaning. I just kind of wipe them clean, and I just fill up a quart-size freezer storage bag with these various peppers. They freeze perfectly, and you just reach in and grab out one or two when you're ready. They're really nice to go ahead and dice them while they're frozen. The knife goes right through them. It works out perfectly. So that is what we do with an abundance of peppers from our garden. All right, you can see I've already sliced up the banana pepper. I'm going to show you how easy it is to slice these up. I'm just going to go ahead and make these pieces just a little smaller. They will definitely shrink down and while they are in the hot slow cooker. Okay, so there you go. Now, and I don't care about the seeds. This is not a big deal in this kind of soup. Sometimes I take them out, but I didn't this time. So here's my little frozen jalapeno pepper. Just be careful when you're slicing, as with anything. And look at that, you just slice straight through it. Easy peasy. If you want to take the seeds out, just cut it this way. Take out the seeds. And there you have it. Quick and easy and super easy to harvest and get in your freezer in just a matter of minutes. All right, there we have it, guys. Unfortunately, this is the last of the footage that I have for this delicious chicken chili. I will make this again for sure. I was gifted the kit, the soup kit from Harry & David's. So what I think I'm going to do is try to find a recipe online that is very similar to this and duplicate it that way. It was delicious. It was very, very hearty and filling. I want to make this one again for sure. Alright, and to close out this week of What's for Dinners, I am frying up some cabbage here in my skillet. I like to just fry it a minute or two and get it brown, and then I put the water in it and boil it the rest of the way. It's just seasoned up with a little bit of salt, pepper, and a tiny bit of sugar. That's how I like to make mine. I had a box of this couscous mix in my pantry, and in my crock pot all day I did these beef short ribs. That's the very, very last of the beef from the cow that we had butchered last year. Very last bit. So I just did those in the slow cooker all day, put a little bit of barbecue, a little bit of horseradish, had some corn muffins left from last night. served it alongside the couscous, the cabbage with some cucumbers and onions. It was a delicious meal. I hope everyone is doing well. Thanks for watching. As always, give this a thumbs up and subscribe if you've not, and I'll see you in the next one.